Be my guest, be my guest, be my guest with Sean Boy Joe. Be my guest, be my guest, be my guest with Sean Boy Joe.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Be My Guest podcast channel with me, your boy, Sean Boy Joe. Of course, I'm back for another video, and it is a video. I know how much you love these videos. My guest today is an internationally recognized actor, presenter, producer, choreographer. I can go on and on and on. She is a specialized coach and speech therapist as well. And let me tell you something, she needs very little introduction. Of course, if you don't know her by face, you will know her for playing Bella in the BBC TV series The Tweenies, amongst lots of other stuff too. Emma Quintin, it's a pleasure to say, be my guest.
Thank you so much, Sean. Lovely to meet you. And it's a pleasure being your guest today too.
Oh, you're very welcome. And you're coming in from Dubai, aren't you?
Currently, yes, I am.
Yeah. Is that where you live at the moment?
Yeah, I've been based here now probably for about 10 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, brilliant. Okay. Well, as I do with all guests, we are going to go through a timeline and sort of work our way through the early years right up to the present day. And of course, we won't disappoint because I'm sure we'll get to everything you've done. So there'll be something for everybody in this podcast as well. So we'll flag up a lot of things too. So talk to me, Emma, as I do with all guests, about a little Emma growing up in her growing up days. Were you from that sort of theatre background?
Yes. So I grew up in Bath. I started performing at the age of 3. At the age of 9, 10, I started in my local amateur group. So that was a Friday evening. We'd go down to the local church hall and we'd practice and rehearse and go out into old people's homes and perform there. So that then led me into an amateur dramatics group in my teenage years, and it kind of went on from there, really, Sean.
Okay, so you very much from the stage background. Were your parents from the stage?
No, I mean my uncle was in the Welsh National Opera, so I guess singer. He was a singer, but in terms of, we're all very creative as a family. Yeah. But other than my uncle, not really, not professional.
That definitely helps, doesn't it? If you have somebody in the family that is just as talented.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's helpful, because they can guide you and steer you, in the right direction. But I had huge support around me ever so,
Yeah. You've got, a tremendous repertoire of stuff you've done over the years and lots of qualifications as well, which we'll also come on to. But what was the stepping stone for you up the ladder in terms of getting onto the stage? What was your big break?
I guess it'd have to be the Tweenies.
Oh, it was as simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I sort of performed, like I said, for years prior to that. But yeah, that was the sort of break for me. I was given a wonderful opportunity by Ian Lachlan, Will Brenton, who I'll forever be grateful. And that then opened up doors to so many other platforms, so many other companies, and gave me that confidence that I didn't realize I needed. So incredible, absolutely incredible.
And yeah, we've sort of come leaps onto the Tweenies, but that, I mean, incredibly 23 years ago. Can you believe that?
Gosh, such a baby. What to do?
As was I. We all were. It was a long time ago. But you, just to explain, that you were Bella's costume actor.
Correct. Yes. So I came in, I think it was in 2000. So the original cast were there doing what they did best. And then we came in for the stage productions initially. Right, so we had, I think it was 5-6 week rehearsals. And that essentially was our role. That then led into sort of television appearances, live appearances, for example, proms in the park. But initially we came in as the cast that were rehearsing to take these shows out into the arenas across the
Wow.
UK. Yeah.
Wow. And then from the arena tours, you went into the studios.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had a huge chance to go into the studios. I did some of the episodes, some of the videos,
Yeah.
Pepsi Chart Show, Top of the Pops. They were very, very generous in allowing us to sort of get involved in other areas too, which is wonderful.
So you were just to make clear, you were involved in the actual episodes in the series as well as the live stage.
Some of them, yes, some
Right.
of them. I can't remember which ones, but
Oh, I
some
see. So there were a mixture of actors that were in the costume.
Yeah, well, you had the initial original.
Yeah.
And then we came in 2000, like I said, I think it was 2000. Yeah. And then we ended up sort of doing some of the we had to do, I think, an advert once for Alton Towers.
Oh, okay.
So we shoot that. Because the other actors, the skin artists, the voice artists, they were busy sort of
Right, I see.
filming other episodes. So we were sort of working parallel.
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, great. Did you ever get the chance to voice Bella?
Very, very briefly. I'm not sure what happened with Emma. I think Emma had to. There was something,
right?
And they put me in maybe for one episode. Yeah, I was so nervous.
Oh wow! I'd have to look at that episode and distinguish your voice.
I wouldn't even remember.
That's brilliant.
It was such there was so much going on. It was like you were transported into another world, and
I bet you sort of get that kind of imposter syndrome, whereas this is Emma's job now, and I'm taking it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was asked, and I had spoken to Emma. Emma and I still do have a really strong relationship.
Yeah.
She's very supportive, right from the beginning with me, because it can be quite daunting as an early 20-year-old to step into something that is very new and very special for everyone. And so she was great with me and guided me all the way through. So I was honored to be asked. I think it helped her too. So it was a win-win situation.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Emma speaks very highly that the whole of the team nurtured her as well when she came in, because of course she took over from Sally Prizich. And Sally Prizich made all the costumes, and you also did some of the animatronics on it.
I did, yes. When we were first introduced to, like, how am I going to be able to work all of this? But you just do,
Yeah. How does that work then? I know that in the previous podcast we were sort of delved into that sort of world, but how does animatronics work?
Gosh, now you're taking me back. For me, it was almost, I'm doing this now like a games console. Okay. So I think you'd have the thumb, if I remember correctly, say for the eyes.
Right.
And there'd be another button that would open and close the mouth. And of course, then when you're doing the live performances, you've got two casts.
Yeah.
So you've got one cast on stage in skin, and the other cast member, your twin, so to speak, backstage on monitors, and you're the eyes of your partner. So if they're trying to get up the steps and the mouth isn't open, it's responsibility.
And I believe, as Ian said before, you were one of the very first people that actually did that as a production in terms of animatronics. That was very new then, and you were quite groundbreaking in doing that.
Oh, I mean, we didn't know half of what was going on, all the magic that was happening in the background. We really had no idea. It was just a whirlwind. It was incredible.
It really is a team effort. And I know that from what the others have said as well, is that the people inside the costumes and people doing the animatronics are just as important, if not more important, than the people actually voicing them. It's a real effort between everybody to make it work.
Absolutely. You have to come together. One is reliant on the other, and there's that huge element of trust. And that trust has to be there, and you have to work together collectively to be able to get the best results.
Yeah. Do you have a particular fond memory of work? I know it seemed like it went ever because it was constantly repeated. But have you got a particular memory or a fond episode that you worked on?
I remember we did Nighttime Magic.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
And the song Starlight, Star Bright,
Yeah.
whatever. And it was just, it was just magical, really magical. I remember thinking, this is just so special. And what we're creating is having such a huge influence on so many children's lives.
Yeah, it's strange to think that, isn't it? Yeah,
And
because you don't think that as a viewer, you're just watching it. But now I look back and think, well, these people are making television. They're making children's television, and they're making history.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's all not too easy. Not that I ever became complacent, because I don't as a person.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes it's your job, it's your responsibility, and you've got so much to learn as an artist, and you're surrounded by these incredible people, huge talent that you're learning from. And so you've got all of that going on. It's sometimes you forget, wow, this is actually having a huge impact on so many people. I remember driving out of the studio on a Friday night, and there were like there were crowds and crowds of people. It was a live audience for something, and I remember thinking, my goodness me, I'm here rehearsing, shooting at Elstree in this studio space, which is just incredible.
Yeah. I mean, they called it TWMania at the time because it was so massive. I mean, I remember going to see the Tweenies live in, I think it was the early arena tour they did at the O2, which was just magical. It was massive. And then obviously you performed on Top of the Pops as well.
Yes. Yeah. That was a real treat.
Yeah.
Real treat.
You're with mainstream artists as well, and you're thinking, and it makes you laugh now to think the Tweenies actually had hits with songs.
It's amazing.
Strange, isn't it?
So I was and still am so grateful and so appreciative and so blessed.
I mean, you can get away with it back then. I mean, Jake singing about bananas and then Mr. Blobby getting to #1. It's sort of what you can do nowadays. I don't know if that could happen, but I mean, you're all still here, so it could do. Why not? Let's reemerge. Absolutely, reemerge them, as they all said. Let's get it back in some form. But no, you speak very fondly of your work on the Tweenies, as you've done with a lot of other stuff prior, and you've been involved in so many theatre productions. And I guess there'll be people watching that when I mention these things, they go, "Oh, okay, well, I remember the character." You've been in a number of various productions, from working with Barney the Dinosaur, Bob the Builder, all these, major productions based in Dubai.
That's correct. My first sort of semi-professional theatre production was in 1994. It was Panto, Jack and the Beanstalk. And that was with Lionel Blair, Britt Eklund, and Mike Delphin. Well, yeah, I was so scared. So scared as this teenager, but they were wonderful, and the things that go on in these wings. Well,
What did you play back in 1994?
I was one of the dancers. So yeah, they had. I actually was too short.
Oh, join.
Yeah. So Lionel came to audition all of us, and at my local dance school. And there were how many? There must have been three of us for each. I think there were 6, say, for example. And I was sort of the next one on the list. And it's only because this girl, I can't remember her name, had braces at the time. And he was like, well, she's got braces. Who's the next one on the list? Emma. So that's the reason that I was fortunate to have that opportunity.
Wow,
and we were then joined. Yeah, or we joined a group then of young professional dancers, and I have to say it wasn't the greatest experience, Sean, with them, to be honest.
Right.
And I was too young to understand what I understand now.
Aren't we all?
With respect, that wasn't great. However, the likes of Michael, Lionel, and Britt, it was just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. So I think that sort of gave me the wow. And then obviously I've gone on to do so much theatre, as you mentioned.
It didn't set you back by the looks of things.
I think at the time, as a child, as a young, as a teenager, I look back now and it was bullying.
Yeah.
I understand it now as bullying.
Yeah.
I was like, why are they doing this? We're here to, and I don't know, young dancers, and it's fine. But no, it didn't. If anything, it made me, I remember for the last walk on, they stood on the back of my cape. So I went to move and it got caught here and I tripped. So these things happen. But no, it didn't set me back. It just made me more determined. So actually, I have a lot to thank them for. Yeah,
of course. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure they'll have a lot to thank you for if they've ever watched an episode of the Tweenies.
Maybe.
Yes, there you go. You can't say you haven't. So yeah. But no, I mean, you spoke about the early days of the theatre as well, and you've been in so many different productions. You mentioned Panto there. I love Panto. I go and see it every year. It's wonderful. I made a Scout's honour that if I go to Panto, I will see Bobby Davro in every pantomime I see because he's just brilliant. And of course, on my bucket list is to see Ian Luckland in pantomime as well.
You must.
A brilliant day.
Oh, such a treat.
Oh, yes. And he was all the way through rehearsals when he was chatting to us at Christmas. So what's your favourite pantomime to perform in? I know that's probably a very tricky question.
No, it's not. It's Snow White.
Oh, lovely.
When I won't tell you how old I was, but I was asked by Ian and Steve. I'd expressed my interest in wanting to play Snow White, and they kindly gave me the opportunity, and that was fab. And that was with Colleen. Actually, Colleen was in the same production as well.
Oh wow, yeah.
Snow White, absolutely. It's
a great story, Snow White, isn't it?
Oh, it's a lovely story, and I just had so much
Everybody
fun.
knows it, and it never tires. People, even after all these years, can still watch it as if they've seen it for the first time. It's brilliant.
And how it's evolved over the years, I think, and the production values of not just White, but any sort of theatre pantomime title. It's just incredible.
You've done some peculiar pantos that I've never seen before, which is interesting. I would love to see some of the pantos that you've been involved with, but we don't seem to get them very much over here.
Yeah, there were some pantos that I've done here with a friend of mine who is a magician. So he kind of wrote and I kind of sort of co-wrote some of the pantomimes there. So I think we did Lost at Sea, did Trouble in the Willows. So really sort of intimate, cute preschool, I'd say, family shows.
Yeah. Because that's a lot of what you do is kind of preschool based, isn't it? And you were talking about we talk forever about Ian Luckland, and one of the shows that he has produced is the Fun Song Factory.
Yes.
And he produced, and of course, initially they were live shows, then they became a television series, and then it re-evolved again with a live show, and you were involved with that with a very, very brave Dave Benson Phillips working alongside you. Or should that be the other way around? No, I don't think so.
Oh, we had so much fun. It was just fabulous.
I can imagine.
I was probably the biggest child there, but just
I would have been.
To be able, if I would, to be able to, I'd love to roll something out like that here. I think it's so incredibly well written. Yeah. And as a show, it's so tight. And it was so much fun. Again, I'm so blessed. I'm so lucky.
And when was that? Because for people that didn't know, I mean, they ended the television series, I think, in 2005. But then a few years after, you went on to do an arena tour called Aussie's Songbook.
That's correct. I think that must have been maybe 2008.
Okay.
Yes.
It's incredible how long the longevity of that program and how many stars have come from that. I mean, even to say Aston from JLS. I mean, it's started out in that show and then, obviously became massive. I mean, that show has stood the test of time. And I think, one of the things that really resonated with me is when Ian said he loves presenter-led programming and he really campaigns to have actual people in the studio performing and singing these traditional songs that they can do and sign while they do it. And you are an expert at that.
I wouldn't say I was the best at it at all. So, but it's really difficult.
I can imagine. Well, we can't all be like Mr. Tumble. No.
But again, it's just beautiful that has, come into television and live theatre and there's such connection there. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's your life has just it's been very steady. You've done so much work. It's incredible the work you've done. I mean, we've spoken about of course the Tweenies, the Fun Song Factory, the live shows you've done. If you could choose a character that you've worked with on the stage, Bob the Builder or Pingu, what would be your favorite character? Who do you love working with?
Trolls.
Oh, that's nice.
The trolls were fun. Oh my goodness me, Barney was brilliant.
Yeah.
It's me. Trolls, Barney. I'm just trying to think who else I've worked with.
I should imagine Barney was
Tweety Pie when I was grandma.
Oh yes, yeah.
I think there isn't one particular favorite. I think each character has their unique personality, don't they?
Of course, yeah.
You find that relationship with working with them on stage. I think it also depends on where you're performing.
Yeah.
Crowds, I think all of that sort of work hand in hand.
Yeah, because every crowd is different as well, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
And every crowd brings something into that live, with live theatre. It's there. It's present and it's happening. Yeah. And you pull your energy or you get that energy from the crowds. And you find really magical moments. And
absolutely.
You have to work harder to lift. And, I was always taught that it doesn't matter how many people are in an audience, everyone's still paid to see the show, deliver as you would do to a full house, as you would do, say, quarter house.
Of course, I always go by that motto. If one person is engaging in me, then that's all that counts.
Sean, if you could jump on stage and perform alongside any character, who would it be and why?
Oh gosh, for me. Oh God, you spoke about the Fun Song Factory. I dreamt of being a Fun Song Factory kid when I was younger because I knew all of the songs and I keep saying to myself, Ian, you've got to employ. I know, I've got to build a house. I know that song like the back of my head. I can sing it in any key you want. So I would love to be involved in something like that, performing for kids because I love working with kids or maybe do something different and perhaps create a new character. But I generally feel that being on stage and having that connection with audiences, you just can't beat it. I mean, I spent years in musical theatres and doing straight plays, but it's lovely, hearing all of your stories and the guest stories. And it makes me really want to be able to get involved and do some of that stuff. It's wonderful. I would love to. Absolutely, hands down, love to.
I think as, presenters, well, I think in any aspect of children's theatre, entertainment, education, one has a huge responsibility to deliver correctly, to create that bond, that rapport, that relationship with the child, and to actively, positively bring out whatever message you're trying to deliver. So I think, it might all look very easy and fun and games. You know,
It's
great fun,
but it's not
but
behind the scenes.
there's a lot to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the big arena tours that you worked on was Cbeebies Live.
Yes.
Yeah, that must have been great fun to do that.
I as well as playing Bella. Did I play Bella? Yeah, I would have played one of the Bellas in that. I was also the first ever live Pingu. Oh my God. Now I remember I had these Pingu's feet, and I had this little scooter. Oh my goodness. I'd forgotten about this.
Have I jogged a memory for you again?
Yeah, I couldn't see. And I was like, Ian, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? It's okay. You'll be fine. Let's go for it. I could, I had sort of my sight lines, but it very minimal. I just remember
this was as Pingu.
Curtain opening stage right, and I'm scooting on like this, and I just go on the diagonal, and all of a sudden Sarah Jane is in front of me. Basically, I was heading into the audience, and she had to come in front of me to kind of stop me. It was like one of the first performances when I hadn't sort of got, oh my goodness.
A bit of a Todd Carty moment, dancing on ice, just.
Yeah, but thank goodness for the presenters like Justin, like SJ, had those eyes. You know, they became the eyes of the skin characters, right?
Yeah, but you can get away with that because Pingu walks on the ice anyway. So yeah.
Oh, but that was fun. I was very nervous.
Yeah. Oh well, no, I can imagine. But they do those shows spectacularly. I mean, there's a lot that go into those arena tours for Cbeebies. Absolutely.
Oh, Sean, like when I never forget when we came up on the podiums, and particularly at the Royal Albert Hall, I get goosebumps now every time I think about it still, as we came up on the podium for that first hello Wembley or hello Royal Albert Hall, or even now, that the cheer that you heard, that crowd, that roar will always remain with me until my dying day. It's just, even now, it just gives me goosebumps. So it was incredible. Yeah.
Wow. I can imagine, watching at home, it's completely different to actually being there. And I know because I was in the crowd at one of those shows, so I can see how electrifying the whole thing was.
Yes.
But to step out there, knowing that you're playing such an iconic character to millions of people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Talk to me and explain to our viewers what LSDE stands for.
So that is my qualification with the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art.
Right.
So it's
has a qualification in that, just not in Makaton.
Yeah. So I know
qualifications, people.
I have got qualifications in Makaton. I just don't have a degree in Makaton.
I don't have a degree. Okay.
I would be smart enough to take a degree in Makaton. I wouldn't be patient enough. It requires a lot of patience. It's very hard.
Okay. So that's the London Academy of Music and Dramatics, you were saying?
Yeah. So that's what I teach now, my students across the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's my top Quinton coaching. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's your tagline for Quinton coaching? I love it.
Clarity, commitment, content.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And it just says it all there. You don't need to ask anymore. It's just brilliant. And from reading up from what you do, I mean, the joy that parents get and the kids get from having you as a acting coach. I was reading all of the lovely letters that you get, and your online. You get loads of these emails sent to you. It must be very rewarding to know that people are trusting you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as an educator as well, and it comes back with anything where you have a responsibility to deliver to children. That trust has to be created, and that takes time sometimes, Sean. You know. Yeah. It takes time, and children work at different speeds in different ways, but I'm very, very blessed with the children that I teach, across the world. Yeah. And I just hope that I'm able to equip them with the skills they need for an ever-changing world.
Absolutely. And I'm sure in 20, 30 years' time, you'll be looking up at them thinking, there you are on that stage.
Oh, I already do. I've got one of my students that's just graduated, or is just about to graduate from Rose Bruford, and he signed his first contract already.
Oh, that's fabulous.
You know, right?
You can pat yourself on the back for that. Brilliant.
Well, just, you guide them. If they do the hard work, you just steer them into the...
You are very modest, because I know what it's like to have somebody who mentors you. I mean, I was a part of a theatre group for 10 years, and it's invaluable, the strength and the energy that comes from a group of people in the room. And it really does come down to the person who is nurturing you all these years. And I wouldn't be where I am doing all of this and singing, performing, if it wasn't for my mentor and tutor. So, it's a really undermined but incredible thing you do. And I think it's such a wonderful talent, because people often see the person on screen and they see the person you play, but they don't realize what goes into actually, producing theatre and nurturing these children.
Yeah, it's hard work, but it's passion, and it's
but very rewarding, I'm sure.
Yeah, extremely rewarding. My goodness me, I had a child who came to me selectively mute, didn't say anything for 6 weeks at least in my class, and had the parents in tears. She's not speaking, she's not blah blah blah. But anyway, long story cut short, suddenly one day she just found her voice. And that was it then.
Yeah.
That was it. No stopping her.
Wow.
And it's just important to be able to create a safe, nurturing, non-judgmental, comfortable environment for these children that are, these days there's so much going on in the world.
Yeah.
There's so much.
Yeah.
On for them mentally, emotionally, to be able to bring them into a space where they can explore and then be who they are and find their voice, find their feet, find their wings.
Yeah, it's a very safe space to be in, and they can just sort of let everything on the outside go. I mean, I know that from being on stage, for an hour that you're on stage, you just your mind completely goes, you're focused on the performance and the audience, and that's all it is. And then we go back to reality afterwards until the next performance. But I love it, though. It's very rewarding. And you were talking about giving the children a voice. You have a fabulous voice as well. And you've been in some incredible musicals, including The Sound of Music.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So I got in Dubai. I was lucky enough to perform in The Sound of Music twice here in Dubai. And then we went to Bahrain as well. So I was the children's director, as well as one of the cast members. And then I filled in for, I forget her name, the character's name, but I filled in for oh my goodness, it's gone out of my head. Oh my goodness. Traps. Anyway, never mind.
Okay. We'll get there.
I filled in for her. I'm completely blank. And then, yes, I also did Oliver. That was amazing too. And back in 2016, 17, I did something called Misfortune Circus. 2016, in which I played Miss Fortune. So, yeah. So
what's that story about? Because I don't think I'm aware of that.
That's okay. No, it was locally produced, locally written by incredible talent, who I know, and it was based around Miss Fortune and her circus, and it's the storyline of her and her rival, and it's about them competing. I have to try and find a clip for you.
Yeah, you'll have to. Yeah, I'd love to see it. Absolutely. So we've spoken about, the stage work that you've done, and you've done quite a bit of television work as well. And people might be, surprised to know that you had a few cameos in a certain famous hotel.
Hotel?
Crossroads.
Forgot about that.
Did you really?
Yeah. And Casualty. You've just reminded me. Yeah, that was a long time ago. Oh my goodness me. I'm glad you've done your homework.
Well,
Yeah.
we love a bit I was thinking Crossroads. She must have been about one.
Yes, yeah. And Casualty too. That was when I was sort of beginning on
Yeah.
the sort of television sort of scene.
Should I not ask you what you played then?
I played, what was her name? Annie, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah, forgotten about that.
Ah,
I don't know what year. I
well,
need to go back to my CV.
I hasten to say what year, because you're too young. You're too young.
You're too kind.
I know they revived the series in the early 2000s as well. So
I loved Casualty though. I always wanted to have sort of I'd love to have sort of played a main character.
a regular slot, right?
Yeah.
So you were, I guess, a patient on there or something like that.
Yeah.
That's how they all start. They all start as patients and they go off to do amazing things.
It's such a good learning, because you just see it for what it is.
And it's very different because I guess it's so fast paced. And there's no rehearsal times.
Mm-hmm. And you're then shooting this, and then you might have to go back to that. Then you jump to this, you go back to that. So being able to learn so many skills.
Yeah. Well, you can add soap star to your belt as well. Not that you remember.
Let's talk about that, but thank you. That's really.
No, you absolutely can.
And I forgot his character. Oh my goodness, why?
What's that character?
It's really annoying me now.
Oh, the one you played on.
Anyway, I covered for her, so that was fabulous experience.
That was the stage thing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, Miss Emma Quintin.
Oh no, now I'm
with. Oh no. Well, because you've got to get your thinking cap on now. Because I tell you why. Because with all of my guests, I like to ask them what they were watching when they were younger. And you, Missy, are very intelligent indeed, because we sat here for about an hour trying to figure out what your friend Emma Weaver was watching on the television when she was younger. And we came to the conclusion that she was just staring out the window. But it seems that she wasn't, and she was watching a squirrel, and the squirrel was called
Tufty.
There we go. So there's the answer, because all the people that have asked, we want to know what the program was. There it is, courtesy of Emma. And were you watching that too? Or maybe you weren't. What were you watching when you were younger?
I watched Grot Bags.
Oh, okay.
Grot Bags. I loved Fireman Sam. I was a bit of a tomboy. I actually had my grandma had knitted me a bright blue jumper, Fireman Sam. I loved Button Moon.
Oh, I loved Button Moon.
Yeah,
I loved Button Moon.
Yeah, that was lovely. The A-Team, I loved the theme tune of the A-Team. And also the Get Along Gang, Get Along Gang. Do you remember that? Dipper.
Yeah.
The cat, was it in the orange jumpsuit on his skateboard? Loved it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm just sitting here with the Button Moon theme in my head. We're off the Button Moon. So dreamy. Back when kids television was good, and then as soon as you leapt off the screen, whoop, there you go. It happens. But what do you think about because I like to know what people from kids telly, because they have first-hand knowledge. What do you think about kids TV nowadays? Because we see a lot of animation, because as everyone says, and as I've said before, it's easier to produce in any language you want, dub in every territory. What do you feel nowadays about kids TV?
Presence is the word that comes to mind. I don't feel that there's as much presence. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, because we've had the likes recently of children's ITV saying they're no longer going to operate, and it's not as commercially out there as it was when I was a kid. I mean, I could watch it every hour of every day. Now I kind of struggle to find something interesting to see.
I just think that I'm speaking generally, I guess, but things aren't as thought out, perhaps, as they once were. I think there's a tendency now to, just bang things out really quickly. I think I feel blessed growing up with the television that I had as a
So
child.
do I. Absolutely.
That I've been involved in. But I'd like to see more presence generally. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yes, it does. Yeah. I completely get it, because it kind of, if it's not Peppa Pig, it's Bluey, or it's Peppa Pig and then it's Bluey, and it becomes the same thing. Because it's kind of, as I said, it's easier to produce that way. But I completely understand. You need, as Ian rightly said, you need actual people on there singing, because I mean, one of the hardest jobs is, as he said before, and I'm sure you've seen, was working on Play School. He said it was the hardest job that he'd ever done. And we need to get back to that kind of authentic kind of, kind of TV where everything looks like it's live, because it kind of is. And if someone sort of fluffs up, then that's the way it goes. Lots of things now are heavily edited, or it's targeted at young children, and sadly the producers of these programs from these big bosses are getting decreasingly younger, and they're looking at children thinking, well, you know what, it's not what children want, but actually children are sponges and they'll soak up what they hear and listen to. So if it's put in front of them,
they need is not, they need that nurturing.
Of course, it's all part of their development skills.
Yes, it really is.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely. So not that I have anything against Peppa Pig, as you can tell. Not at all. I just really feel that we need actual people, whether it's in costumes or whether it's actual people presenting live stuff and singing and because that's what it's there for. But we loved it.
I think, Sean, also, nowadays, children, there's so much stimulus, and there's this need for instant, I don't know if that's the right, instant gratification. No, that's not really the right word. But, there's just so much going on and so much available that,
of course,
trying to keep a child engaged for any...
they're juggling with everything, aren't they?
It's hard, and a good quality program manages that. Because,
and as you rightly said, they're juggling with the, 2023's modern day and age. If they're not looking at a tablet, then they're looking at something else. Yes. And back in the day, I was looking at a magazine. It's as simple as that. There was nothing, although, I was quite addicted to the old PC. I had the old Tweenie on the computer, watching it over and over again. But yeah, it's just, as you say, things aren't as widely available now. And also, one of the things that I will say as well is that companies also feel that the age bracket of kids' television has to come down to a certain age now. Whereas back in the day, as Ian said before, as you'll agree, that the Tweenies started off as a preschool program, but he quickly realized that it developed into a program that was accessible to older children, because it initially started out with the Teletubbies that were for very young people, and they wanted something a little bit older. And he realized that it was a family viewing, whereas nowadays programs like that have to be in slots where they can sell nappies to babies and that sort of thing. So it doesn't help that commercially, companies have to transmit in those time slots. Yeah, it can become very limiting. Yeah. You don't have that issue because you're on the stage performing with all these costumes and all these characters. I would love to actually come and see one of your live productions if ever you're back over here. It'd be wonderful, because it's just too many characters, and maybe you will have seen Emma on a live production, because she's done everything, as I've said, from Bob the Builder, Pingu, Barney, the lot. I mean, and there recently it was announced that Barney was coming back as a CGI cartoon. I don't know if you've heard that. No, and that face says it all, because Emma has worked with the actual costume actor Barney himself on the stage, and that's how Barney should be, in my opinion. Yeah, absolutely. But they are looking to bring him back they are bringing him back in a sort of CGI animated form. So we'll see how that works. And maybe, Emma, I'm going to ask you this question now. Maybe they could bring the Tweenies back as well. Maybe not in that form, but do you reckon that would be, plausible in this day and age?
100%.
I knew you'd say that.
Of course, 100%.
They all say that. They all say that.
The world needs it. No, in all seriousness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
so
absolutely.
many lessons for children within the writing. It's just masterpiece, really.
Absolutely. And I asked that burning question to everybody in the room, and they all said yes, and we're all available. Yes, we can do it. And so we've still got the voices here. So yeah, absolutely, and you could certainly do that. So tell me, before we wrap up, Emma, what is an Emma Quintin doing today? What have you got planned work-wise coming up?
It's at the end of my day. So I was teaching earlier, and then I went to the gym, and then I rushed back and prepared for today's.
Oh, brilliant! So what's coming up for you then?
Yes, more teaching, more teaching. Eid is coming up in a couple of weeks here, so I'll be presenting again locally.
Yeah.
Character called Mr.
That must be rewarding,
which is wonderful, really wonderful. And maybe some storytelling. Who knows?
Do you enjoy telling stories? I'm sure the children love. I almost, your trance. It really does. One of the things that I loved listening to as a child was stories and audiobooks, because there's nothing better when you've got someone they're sort of doing the voices to all these characters and bringing the stories to life. It's brilliant. And and I learnt that from Bob, because he was fantastic at doing that. When he would read the stories as Max, and Max would do all of those voices, you would just be transported into another world.
And I think it's also a moment of calmness as well. And like you said, where you are transported into another world, and even for grown-ups, for parents too, they can forget about their phone, they can forget about the worries and everything, and you have that moment again, being present in the moment.
So absolutely important. Can I just ask something out of curiosity? I don't know whether this is true, but were you when you were doing Top of the Pops with the Tweenies, were you there when Janet Jackson was performing?
I don't think so.
I
can't remember. I only Atomic Kitten.
I see. That might have been it then.
Yeah, I don't know.
You've got the wealth of knowledge. See, we should have had you. It was Atomic Kitten.
I had my red. I'd have a red. So each character, we'd have a different coloured dressing gown. And I remember running to the bathroom, and they were in there, and they were like, "Oh, Bella." And I used to get quite shy about. Bella was our favourite, and I was like, really? I was like, we were never the favourites. We were never the favourite, and I was just like, and I, didn't know what to say. So Atomic Kitten. That was all I remember.
Brilliant. I mean, brilliant, because you rubbed shoulders with the stars, and you were sitting there with maybe not you, but the Tweenies were sitting there with the likes of George Michael in his recording studio.
It's incredible.
Incredible. Yeah, they became pop stars.
You're there to do a job.
Yeah.
You have a job and you have a role to play. Yeah. That must be remembered,
Absolutely. What would you like to do now? What's on your list of things that you want to do that you haven't been able to do yet? I mean, I know that's hard to say because you've done everything.
Well, no, not quite. I'd like to continue to do more kids presenting for as long as I can get away with it. In terms my age, of course.
Yeah. I can join you. I can make you look youthful.
Oh, thank you. And then I'd like to do some television when I'm a little bit older. Yeah. I'd like to do some television. I'd like to do some period drama as well.
Oh, wonderful. Well, if you're watching Downton Abbey, she wants to be on it. There you go. Yeah. And if Crossroads ever comes back, we know who to cast as the main.
Oh my gosh, I completely forgot.
Did you imagine? Yeah. That's a nice little memory I jogged for you there. It was only a couple of episodes, but she forgot about that. Only one of the biggest dramas there was of the 1980s.
Completely lost as to where I was going. I was nearly late. So embarrassing.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter because and it's there. Absolutely. And it's one to put on the website now. You can go, oh, yes, that's a credit that I forgot. So there you go. Emma, It's been a joy talking to you. It's been a very happy, pleasant podcast. I can tell you, I've really, really enjoyed it. I don't say it about everything I do, but this has just been very magical. It's just to see your face light up when you talk about your career is incredible. And the fact that, you're still doing it, you've had a longevity in it. And by the sounds of things, you're going up and up and up. And I love to see that after all these years. It's been an honor talking to you. It really has.
Thank you, Sean. It's been great to be your guest too. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, you're very welcome. And I am going to ask you, as I do with all the guests, you're going to be on the spot a bit here. I'm going to ask you to tell my guests why they should watch this podcast and what they should do.
Oh, what should they do? Well, they need to subscribe to your channel and they should watch this podcast because I think it is important to keep memories alive.
There we go. It's as simple as that. Keep the memories alive. And that's exactly what we do on this channel. And as Emma rightly said, you've got to smash that subscribe button. Otherwise, Bossy Bella will tell you off. Yes, there she. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't like that.
No. So smash the subscribe button, hit the like as well, and the notification bell if you want to be updated on all the things that I do. And if you're feeling extra generous, then please go over to my Facebook page and give that a like there as well. And everything you need to know about this channel and more. And of course, our guests will be on there too. Emma Quintin, you have been my guest and you have been quite fabulous. You really have. And it's been an honor talking to you. So thank you very much for joining me.
My pleasure. Thank you, Sean. Take care.